Okay, thanks very much, Darren, and welcome everybody. So today we're going to learn how to bust through our growth ceilings and scale your business. I'm going to leave it to Darren to admit anyone who comes in, and we'll press on. So hang on, there we go. So my mission is to help expert-based business owners build better businesses so they can build a better world. Because I do think entrepreneurs are the change makers today. We can't leave it up to government. It's up to us to get out there and build a better world. And we generally do that by looking after ourselves, our customers, our shareholders, and our community. So what is the problem? Well, surprisingly, only 7% of Australian small businesses ever make it over $2 million per year. It probably seems to some of you, if you're in this situation, that you're a bit like the Greek myth of Sisyphus, who was condemned by Hades every day to roll a giant boulder up to the top of a hill, only for the damn thing to roll back down again every night. So he had to repeat the exercise all over again. And it can seem a bit like that when you get stuck behind a growth barrier. So what is the problem? Well, it tends to be three main areas: sales, people, and time. You're not growing as fast as you'd like, despite your best efforts and a good product or service. You're struggling to find and hire the people you need, and the ones you've got aren't the goal-busting champions you'd hoped they were going to be. And you're working around the clock, still pushing to get everything done with no time left for your family or yourself. So what is on the other side of scaling up? Well, what we hope is that ideal customers are then queuing up to come to you. You've got a high-performing team that's taking responsibility for the company's success, while you're planning the next stage of the strategic growth steps for your business, chilling with your family in a Bali villa. How hard can it be? Maybe it looks a little bit daunting to get to the other side, but we're going to baby step it. So what I've discovered through my journey as a founder and also as a coach is that businesses don't grow in a nice, smooth, continual line. There are these kind of stage gates where you need a quantum shift to get past that barrier and to keep your growth journey going. And those barriers seem to be around about $300,000 a year, $1 million or sometimes $2 million a year, depending on your industry, and $4 or $5 million a year. And there's another one around $10 million a year, but we're probably not going to get to that one today. So how do we get past the $300,000 barrier? Well, essentially, you need a great value proposition. In other words, something that your customers value a lot more than the money that you're asking to buy it. Like Aldi, you need to be good, different. In other words, you need differentiation. You need some not too awful marketing, and you need a business model that gives you some upside, that doesn't cap what's possible for you. Well, one way to do it is to actually make something fresh. A plumber called Tim Lewis drove home one day, threw off his safety goggles and looked at them and thought, well, they're a piece of rubbish. They're scratched, they're not very nice, they're not comfortable, they don't look good. He was a little bit of a fashionista, and he thought, I can do something better. So he designed fashion safety goggles for tradies. And here's a couple of examples you can see here. It took him about a year to really get them going. He spent every last penny that he had to make it happen, but now they're selling at a rate of about $1 million a month. Not too bad. So one way to get going and scale up is to make something new that fills a gap in the market. If not, if you've got something that's just basically a commodity where there are a lot of other competitors, then you need to make the pitch fresh. And this is what Domino's Pizza did a couple of decades ago, when somebody in their organization or their advertising agency came up with this offer. Get fresh, hot pizza delivered to your door in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. So that's what we call an irresistible offer, something that the customer thinks is wow, and the management gets scared about because, oh my God, what happens if we can't do it? So if you can come up with an irresistible offer, it can get you past the problem of looking like everyone else. And a lot of service companies, let's say accountants, lawyers, mortgage brokers, financiers, town planners, consultants, even coaches, can all look the same. So you really have to figure out what is my secret source? What's my intellectual property? Because if you go and look at what all of those service companies say, they tend to all say something very similar. We provide a great service from good people to work with at a competitive price. Well, when everyone's saying that, you don't stand out. And if you want to scale up, you've got to stand out. So you've got to figure out how to differentiate yourself. You've also got to find the right business model. And a business model is kind of a combination of finding the sweet spot with your expertise, the customer needs, social and marketing trends, technology that might be emerging, and the relationships and connections that you've got. And that can take a little bit of doing. An example is Vinomofo. You might know it's an organization started by Justin Dry and his brother-in-law. Vinomofo is an online curated wine business that offers a small selection of high-quality wines at fantastic bargains in a no bullshit sort of friendly manner, with daily email offers of things to buy. And it's backed up by an irresistible guarantee. You can buy a bottle, you can buy a dozen bottles, you can drink a bottle. If you don't like it or you're unsatisfied with it, they'll come and collect the remaining 11 bottles and give you a full refund for all 12 bottles. But that business was their fourth attempt at putting together a wine business. Justin had grown up in the wine industry and always wanted a wine business, but he had 3 other attempts over 6 or 7 years, all with his brother-in-law, who got rather sick of him apparently, before they came up with the idea of Vinomofo, where they kind of looked at the arrival of Facebook, of Groupon, daily bargain offers, and the emergence of the internet and email marketing, and put it all together, and bingo, they came up with something that's successful. It was an overnight success, but actually had been 10 years in the making. So if you get those things right, it can get you past that barrier. Now, let me see what's going on here. For some reason, that's not moving on to the next slide. Let me see if I can get back. Here we go. So how do you get over $1 million once you get past that initial barrier of the $300,000? Well, now it's time to get a good team of people around you. Instead of just a few helpers and outsourced people, you really need to gather a core team for the in-house activities: product and service development, sales, delivery, and management, let's call it. You can keep outsourcing your digital agency, your accounting, your legal, your HR, your IT at this stage, but you really need the core people on board. The type of marketing that I think you need at this stage is not so much massive social media posting, but highly targeted outbound marketing to your ideal clients. You really need to work out who are your ideal clients and how do you reach them. You need at least one or two effective salespeople. You need to set budgets and pursue them hard. Really don't let them slide past. And you've got to start documenting and following your processes. Merch Girls have been a client of mine for about 3 years. They were under 1 million when we started working together. And we worked out that their ideal clients were large ASX 200 customers, because their economic driver was high volume promotional merchandise. In other words, the cost of setting up the designs for delivering the merchandise was not very different whether someone was ordering 500 T-shirts or 5,000 T-shirts. So therefore they chased the larger companies that were going to give them the larger orders. And we figured out that we could target these people via LinkedIn using Sales Navigator. So they set up a plan to connect with these people or send them an email message and send them a high quality merchandise sample as a gift. And they spent a lot of time developing this sample so that it really was a bit of a wow when it arrived, because their mission was really to raise the quality of promotional merchandise, to take it away from a throwaway item to a fashion item, something that people would want to keep, and also something that was produced sustainably. So they sent these samples as gifts. Then they followed up and asked those people whether they'd like a menu of what else was available from Merch Girls, and followed that up with invitations to the showroom. They had to go through underperforming salespeople until they found an effective one, and they've now got 3. And they found that once they'd fiddled with this strategy a little bit, they were getting 9% leads, of which 43% became clients. And it turned out producing about 45% of all their business. So they fiddled with the system until they got it right, and then they stuck to it. And that powered them past $1 million. And now, in fact, they're well past 4 million. So getting over $1 million, gather a good team, target your marketing, get an effective salespeople, set your budgets, document and follow processes. But also, this is a time when the founder has to give up doing it all by themselves. Often you get a bit of a dopamine hit as the go-to guru problem solver that everyone recognizes as the expert, and they come to you and it feels terrific to solve everyone's problems. Well, you've got to stop that. You've got to let other people do it, even if they fail sometimes. You've got to let them learn. You've got to spend your time, instead of being an operator, you've got to spend your time as an owner. Rule out some time in your diary to work on longer term strategic issues, rather than just getting stuck in the daily hassle and the whirlwind of just getting through another very busy day. So block out time in your calendar and treat it with the same seriousness as you would an appointment with a client, and let other people learn and step up. Once you pass $1 million, things tend to lighten up a little bit. There tends to be some momentum, and now people know you. They're starting to come to you, and it's a good stage to be in. Businesses generally grow relatively quickly, up to about 3.5 million, close to $4 million. And then they're kind of surprised that they often get stuck at that level, because everything's been going well for a while. And what you need to do to get past that $4 million level is develop what I call level 3 leaders in your key areas as department heads. Level 1, I call people who are competent in their own roles. Level 2, they're also good team players. So you want to avoid the the toxic high performer who can do the job themselves, but pulls down the rest of the team because they think they're it in a bit, and they criticize everybody else. So you don't want those, because they just destroy the morale and the culture of the place. And level 3 are people who, as well as doing the job and being good team players, they're also looking around beyond their role, beyond their silo, to fix problems that they bump across in the company, or make suggestions to grow the whole company. And those are really people who you want as the next level of leaders below you in order to keep growing your company. Now's the time to sort of shift your marketing from targeted outbound marketing to becoming more of a brand that brings inbound marketing to you, that brings customers to you because they're aware of you and they recognize you as a leader in your industry. This is the time for mass social media, where you follow Gary Vaynerchuk's suggestions of posting several times a day on all different channels. This is a time to develop a public profile, to make comments to the press, or put out little publications, try and get speaking gigs in conferences, and become, if you like, a key person of influence in your industry. It's a time to start measuring the return on investment for your marketing. And what you're really aiming for here is that the lifetime value of a client is at least 3 times more than the cost of acquiring the client. Once you get to that stage, your marketing stops being a cost and starts becoming a profit center, where you know that you've got something that works, and you can therefore happily invest more in it and just reap the rewards. You've also got to start setting up some governance. Maybe you've got an advisory board who meets once a quarter now to review the progress and your plans. You've got to start using financial modeling in a slightly more sophisticated manner. Looking at, what would happen if you employ another 3 staff? What would happen if your best customer leaves? What would happen if interest rates go up or down? Start using financial tools to help you make plans for the future. And you've got to upgrade your professional systems and processes so that the business runs like clockwork behind you. But this is also the time, paradoxically, where you need to take that holiday in the Bali villa. As a matter of fact, I've got a client who was close to burnout, and his wife finally jerked him and the family over to Bali for a year. And somewhat to his surprise, he found that some people in his company started showing up as level 3 leaders and stepped in and got the business going and continuing to grow while he was over in Bali. So paradoxically, this is a time when you can actually do that. So if you want to keep growing, beyond those levels, there are really 5 springboards that you need to pay attention to continue to scale up. Your value proposition, your plan, your vision, your culture, your mission, how you're going to get there, your people. At the end of the day, the quality of your people and how they perform together as a team is really the single most important thing to keep your business growing. You've got to have processes, systems in place that keep the place growing properly. There are, of course, different levels of processes. McDonald's has the sort of philosophy of having an incredibly structured set of processes so that anybody can come in and operate them. Other companies believe, like Netflix, in lighter processes and focusing more on creative people who can solve the problems because they're all A-class people. But you've got to select the right level of processes for your company. And finally, promotion. And promotion in the broadest sense, which includes not only paid advertising, organic social media, outbound and inbound, networking, referrals, all kinds of promotion. Refining those 5 areas will keep your business growing when you get it right. And finally, I would suggest that you need to lift your eyes from the struggle of the daily efforts. Go out 3 or 5 years ahead and take a bit of time and write down what you'd like your business to look like if everything was ideal and the fairy godmother waved a wand and you could have it exactly as you wanted. Write that out in some detail and then look backwards from there to the path to get there. You may as well, with all the effort that it takes to run a business, you may as well figure out what the ideal would be like, set your sight for that, and know that you're on track. Set your intention, focus your efforts, give it a go. You're going to get there. So that's what I've got for you today, which basically is chapter 1 of a book that I've got coming out in the middle to late June called Start Up, Scale Up, or Screw Up. I'm looking for a few people who would like to review the book and post a review on the launch day. And I'm happy to provide a free advance copy of the book and send them a copy when it's published as well. So if you would like to learn some more about how to scale your business and avoid some screw ups, send me an email and I'll forward an advance copy to you. And good luck in your endeavors to scale your business. Thank you.